Hello, I'm Guillermo from U-Haul. If you plan on towing a trailer with your Nissan Rogue Sport, you're gonna need trailer wiring. It's required by law. Let's break this down for you. You'll need the tools seen here to complete this installation. So for this install, we're using a universal kit and we're gonna connect to the back of the taillights. So to remove this taillight, you have 3 pins. We have one here and we have 2 here. And you just wanna go ahead and gently pull back. Sometimes these will get stuck, like this one is. You can't pull it out. So we want to use a trim tool to open it up as much space behind the taillight to where you can actually see the whole housing. You want to go ahead and use your flathead. Make sure you have tape to protect the paint and everything else. So once you get behind the taillight, you just want to gently start pushing the screwdriver towards the vehicle, not damaging the taillight itself. So now that we have our taillight off, we're gonna go ahead and disconnect it using this tab right here. And we'll just set it aside. So we are going to go ahead and start on the inside of the vehicle, and to do so, we need to remove these floor panels. So now we're going to go ahead and remove our center panel. It actually has 2 tabs, one right here and one right here, and we're going to go ahead and use a flathead screwdriver to remove that. We're going to go ahead and just pull this up now. So now we want to go ahead and remove these foam pieces. They're held in by Velcro. It'll give you a little space to work on. So now we want to go ahead and remove these 3 pins that are located here, here, and one hidden right behind here. So now to access this pin back here, you want to gently pull on your plastic panel, and you can see it right in here. And you just gently pull on it and it should come right off. So if you need a little bit more space on this, we're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 10mm bolts from this panel right here. So now we have access to all our wiring, and we repeat the process on the passenger side. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull our grommet out. This is just to make our life easier to get our wiring through. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut this plastic to get access to our wiring. We're gonna go ahead and use a box cutter. Just make sure not to cut any other wiring behind it. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our yellow, red, and brown wire and run it through the back. Now you want to go ahead and use a zip tie to hold your wires in place. Cut the excess off. So now we're going to go ahead and grab our green wire and take it to our passenger side, and we're going to go ahead and run it through where the plastic paneling goes, and we'll just repeat the process on this side. So now we're going to go ahead and take our white wire and ground it to the body of the vehicle using a self-tapping screw. So we're going to go ahead and use our test light. So now that we're on the driver's side, we're going to go ahead and test our little tabs right here for our brake light, our left-hand turn, and our running lights. Just be gentle with the little metal tabs in here. We want to go ahead and test each wire for each function. Sometimes they do share a function in the same wire. We're going to go ahead and start with our left turn signal. So now we're gonna go ahead and do our brakes. Off, on. There we go. We're gonna go ahead and do our headlights now. So now that we're on our passenger side, we're only gonna be looking for our right-hand turn signal. So now we're gonna go ahead and grab our brown wire and connect it to our running light using a scotch lock. We're gonna go ahead and grab our yellow wire now, and this is for your left-hand turn signal function. So let's go ahead and scotch lock that in. We're gonna go ahead and grab our red wire and scotch lock this in. This is our brake wire. And repeat on the passenger side. So we're gonna go ahead and take our green wire and splice it into our right-hand turn signal. We're gonna go ahead and grab our black wire and connect our fuse holder using a heat shrink butt connector. On this Nissan Rogue Sport, we actually already have a pre-existing plug right here where it's our power wire. We're gonna go ahead and use a heat shrink butt connector to connect it. So this is our connector. As you can see, there are two wires. We're gonna go ahead and use the thicker wire, the thicker gauge wire, to connect the other end of our power wire. On some Nissan Rogue Sports, you won't have power right away. So what you would have to do is go into your engine compartment and pop a fuse in. To access our fuse box, we're gonna go ahead and remove this by removing these 3 pins and this 10mm bolt. Now that we have our 3 pins and our 10mm bolt, we're gonna go ahead and just pull on this gently and it should come right off. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove our fuse box cover. So using our fuse box cover, we're gonna go ahead and look at the diagram and look for our trailer towing, and we wanna make sure it has a 30 amp fuse in there. Now we want to go ahead and put this back together. Now we want to go ahead and put a 15 amp fuse into our fuse holder. So now that we have all our wiring hooked up, let me show you where you can put your 4-flat wire harness. You can go ahead and leave it in the trunk and run it through the weather seal, or you can run it down next to your hitch, and we're gonna go ahead and pull it down using this little vent right here. We're gonna go ahead and put our grommet back in place, but to do so, we're gonna need to cut just a little bit, enough to where our wire can fit in there. And now we're gonna go ahead and use some black silicone to seal it off. So now we're gonna go ahead and connect our taillight. Put it back into place. And now we repeat on the passenger side. So now we're gonna go ahead and reinstall everything back in our cargo area. So now we're gonna go ahead and bring our 4 flat over to our receiver, and we're gonna go ahead and go behind the bumper to avoid any heat and anything that can damage your 4 flat wiring. So now that we have our 4 flat wiring next to our receiver, we don't want to leave it hanging like this. It could damage, it can scrape, anything can happen to it. So we're going to go ahead and use a mounting bracket, and we're going to go ahead and place it right here. So now that we have our bracket in place, we're going to go ahead and drill 1 hole. And we're going to go ahead and bring the screws that were provided with our kit, and we're going to go ahead and put it in there. Now we're going to go ahead and repeat the process on this side. So now that we have both our bolts in place, we're going to go ahead and tighten them with a 10mm socket. Now we're gonna go ahead and put our dust cover on. And we're gonna go ahead and put it in our bracket. It does have these little grooves to hold it in place. And we're gonna go ahead and cover it now, and we're all finished. So now that we have our wiring in place, you can tow a trailer anywhere. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the products seen in this video, or if you'd like to schedule an installation with a U-Haul professional, visit us online today at uhaulhitches.com.